What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and we are finally getting to the Superheavy Samurai deck profile. So, for those of you who don't know, basically, right after Christmas, we just went to the shop, we played some casual games, because they decided not to run a tournament, and then afterwards, I got sick with both strep and flu, so now I finally both am well enough to do this and have the spare time, because between the semester at the university starting again and work, I finally have enough spare time to do this, so we're just going to get right into it. So, since Superheavy Samurai don't have any spells or traps, we're going to structure this deck profile just a little bit different. So first is the Pendulum monsters, and I'm running 2 each of Monk, Big Benkei, and Wakaushi. So I'm running 2 of each because I don't want to just completely brick my hands with just the Pendulums. And really, all you need is the Wakaushi to get the entire scale, as I'm sure you all know, because that's why they ended up having to ban Scarecrow, because apparently it was just too good. So, Konami, bring back Scarecrow, please. He did nothing wrong. Alright, and then 1 Thief, and I'm also currently running 2 Big Benkei. I actually changed up the deck list a little bit, since I was really counting on them unbanning Scarecrow, but they did not. So I had to change up some of my ratios a bit, but Thief is a way to destroy spells and traps. This allows all your super heavies to attack while in defense. But yeah, hopefully we get Scarecrow back soon. That way I can go to the other Super Heavy Samurai list, where I actually had 3 Big Benkei, and then I also had Giga Gloves. I took Giga Gloves out because without Scarecrow, it's not really that great. Anyways, moving on. Next is Big Waraji. It's basically a Cyber Dragon, as long as you have no spells and traps in your grave. Next is one of your main normal summons, which is going to be Wagon. So you normal summon it, change it to defense position, change it back to attack position to activate the search effect, where you get a Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster. And so that's going to be the 3rd section. So we had the Pendulums, now we have the regular monsters, and then we have the Super Heavy Samurai Soul monsters. That'll be the 3rd section. Next is 2 Magnet. This one is very similar to Goblinberg in how its effect works. That's basically why I run it, is just as a way to get more bodies on field. The attack lock, I mean, if you can get 2 magnets in your hand, sure, it's fine, but it's mainly just so we can special summon a tuner from our hand for free before committing to a pendulum summon. Scales and Security help you get things back from the graveyard. Scales revive something from the graveyard when it's summoned, and then Security, you contribute it to summon a Super Heavy with less than 1500 attack from your graveyard. So basically, one of the big things you can do with Security is you tribute it to bring back a Big Benkei from the graveyard, or any of your tuners, really. That's another thing you could do. Next, I am still running 1 Swordsman. I actually like this card a lot. And then I'm also running 2 Flutist. So Flutist, you tribute it, special 1 from your hand, and then it does a targeting protection effect in the grave. This is how we actually was able to combat Kashtira Fenrir in our practice match against Kashtira. Swordsman, I actually really like it because after damage calculation, it forces your opponent's monster's attack points to 0. So if they try to attack a Super Heavy Samurai monster and they fail to destroy it, their opponent's monsters get dropped down to 0. And it's also good for something that can't be destroyed by battle, so that way you can just ram into it multiple times to increase the damage. Next is Bike. This is one of your main searches, and it can also serve as a tuner. It also has a level modulation effect to help go into some of your other synchros. Trumpeter is a free special summon on a tuner. Battle Ball is monster removal in the form of a tuner, so that can be really nice there. Trying to go kind of quickly here. just because I know this has been very, very late. Next, another one of the edits I mentioned earlier, I actually added Drum into the deck, just as a way to get something back from the graveyard when it gets destroyed, because we no longer have Scarecrow to revive Big Benkei from the graveyard. So this is kind of how I'm mitigating that for now. But if Scarecrow comes back, then what we would do is we would take out Drum, and then we would put in Giga Gloves in order to... that way we can use Giga Gloves for the Link summon of Scarecrow and get some advantage off of that. But for now, I wanted to try to incorporate some of the super heavies that have stuff that bring things back from the graveyard, so I put Drum in instead of Giga Gloves. Next is Helper. So with this one, if you have 2 super heavy samurai monsters, it kind of functions almost like an Honest in a way. That's kind of probably the best explanation. You just get the defense points of another super heavy. So that's really nice. Alright, and now we're going to go over to the Super Heavy Samurai Soul monsters. So the first one is Soul Piercer. So this grants the equipped monster piercing damage, and then when it leaves the field, you get a search. So that's very nice. Next is Soul Gaia Booster. Then I guess I'll also talk about Soul Shield Wall here, since they're both one-ofs. This one can either special summon itself or equip to facilitate synchro plays, because the equipped monster is treated as a tuner. And this one basically is just for the 1200 defense boost. I mean, you can send it to the graveyard on attack declaration to drop its defense to 0, but prevent it from being destroyed by battle. But honestly, this is kind of more of like an OTK kind of style, so it's mainly just for the boost. Next is one of my personal favorite ones, being Soul Claw. Gives it 500 defense and then cannot be destroyed by battle. Soul Beads prevents the equipped monster from being destroyed by card effect once per turn. And my favorite Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster is Soul Buster Gauntlet. I'm actually running it only at 2, so that way we don't just clog our hands with multiple copies of it. Because, you know, the general rule is run something at 3 if you wouldn't mind seeing multiple copies of it in your opening hand. I don't want to see multiple copies of Soul Buster Gauntlet, so we're only running 2. But this actually doubles the original defense of our Super Heavy Samurai monster, so this is how we kind of facilitate the OTKs. Next, Soul Horns allows it to attack twice, again, just to help facilitate OTKs. And then Soul Peacemaker, this is the one where you equip it to a monster, you tribute the monster that is equipped with this, then you special summon a Super Heavy from your deck. Usually you're either going to go for something... There's really 3 main outlets for this. So you can either go for Wagon if you want to search, you can go for Wakashi if you want to go for synchro plays, or you can just summon Big Benkei directly from the deck if you have the means to go ahead and do the OTK, or if you already have Wakashi in your hand, so you can go with Big Benkei and the synchro. So it just kind of provides some flexibility there to try to get that OTK. Alright, moving on to the extra deck. First, one Musashi. I don't use this one very often, but when you do summon it, it is nice because it gets you a resource back from the graveyard, so that's very nice. Next, I'm running 3 Shootin' Doji because it's basically Harpy's Feather Duster on legs. So, yes please. Next is Stealth Ninja. This one can cut its original defense in half until the end of the turn in order to attack directly, so that can help in time. It's a little awkward to make, though, just because it is a level 7. The odd number synchros are a little more difficult to make, but if you can make it work, then the payoff's pretty nice. Next for the level 8s, 1 Shanawo and 1 Sarutobi. So this one special summons something from the grave or pendulum zone, and then puts itself in the pendulum zone during the battle phase. This one is a quick effect spell trap pop and burn for 500. Which is, so I love summoning this one against Dark Magician, because then as soon as they use Eternal Soul, I just pop it. So then their entire field gets nuked. Next is my personal favorite synchro, which is Superheavy Samurai Beast Kyubi. So again, it's a little bit awkward because it's a level 9, but the level modulation effect of Motorbike makes it a lot easier to do because you can increase a monster's level by 2. So Big Waraji plus Motorbike equals Kyubi. And then also Drum plus Big Benkei. Or you could also technically go Wakashi with a level 5. So, I mean, you get the point. But this one's my personal favorite one. It gains 900 defense for each special summon monster your opponent controls. So for each monster they have, this guy just gets bigger and bigger. It's really, really cool. Next, running 2 Susanoo. This one steals a spell or trap from their graveyard, and you can use it. So I like to use this to steal things like Imperms or Call by the Graves, things like that. Next is Masuruo. This is the synchro you're probably going to be going for the most because it's the easiest to make, because Wakashi plus Monk Big Benkei equals this, and then you get the scales back. So this is really the main synchro you're going to go for right off the bat. And then you can start setting up your other synchros afterwards, assuming the game goes that long. You know, because, again, this is kind of an OTK style deck. So, but yeah, he can protect your stuff by destroying a different one. And then you can draw up until you have 3 cards in your hand after an opponent's spell or trap resolves. And then finally, we have the one Soul Train King, or excuse me, Steam Train King, excuse me. I mainly only use this with a Battle Ball plus a level 10, something like a Kaiju or something like that. But, I mean, 4,800 defense is definitely nothing to scoff at, and then it can banish spells or trash from the graveyard to burn. So, it's definitely not terrible, but you're not really going to summon that one very much, unless you're going out of your way to summon it, because it requires 2 non-tuners. But, yeah, so that's going to be it for the deck profile. Again, all we were able to do was the one practice match against Kashtira. So, unfortunately, we did lose, but we were able to actually, break his board when we went second. Unfortunately, he was able to rebuild it the next turn, so we ended up losing the match. But all in all, the deck did fine. I'm still really hoping that Scarecrow comes back sooner rather than later, so that way we can have, Scarecrow discard Big Benkei, target Big Benkei again, because I absolutely love that. But anyways, that's going to be it for the deck profile. As far as the deck profiles, they should be coming in more regularly now since I'm not sick anymore. So thank you for your patience on that. But yeah, the weekly deck profiles should be returning. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.